This Prime Minister is so desperate now, he's so on the run, that he resorted just to outright lies. Outright lies. The idea that I've suggested we should be punished with tariffs, I've never said anything of that kind whatsoever. What I'm saying is the opposite. What I'm saying to Americans is, please have a chat with the British government, say this is not going to work the way it currently is, and for the betterment of both of us, let's rethink the legislation.
But you're not in Parliament as PMQs, you're Reform's leader, why?
So what? What can I do there? I sit in Parliament, I get abused by everybody, I get to answer once every 2 or 3 months. I don't think that should be a priority over talking here to American legislators and American companies who matter a lot to our country.
Good day, digital denizens, and welcome back to the British Report, where we dissect the political drama with the precision of a surgeon and the wit of a seasoned stand-up comedian. Today, we are diving headfirst into a U-turn so spectacular it could give even a Formula One driver whiplash. We are talking about Sir Keir Starmer, digital IDs, and the inimitable Nigel Farage, who, as ever, has a few choice words to share. Strap yourselves in, because this is going to be a bumpy yet highly entertaining ride. Quick favour, if you are loving this, hit that subscribe button. Over 92% of viewers haven't yet. It is free, takes a second, and means the world to us. Thanks. If you did, now back to the show. So, picture this. It is September 2029. The sun is shining, the birds are singing, and Sir Keir Starmer, with the gravitas of a man about to solve all of Britain's problems, announces a plan. A grand sweeping plan for mandatory digital IDs for anyone wanting to work in the United Kingdom. His words, ringing with an almost prophetic certainty, were, "Let me spell it out. You will not be able to work in the United Kingdom if you do not have digital ID." Bold, decisive, and as we are about to discover, about as stable as a house of cards in a hurricane. Now, why this sudden, dramatic pivot? Well, as we often see in the glorious theatre of British politics, what sounds like a stroke of genius in a policy meeting can sometimes hit the public like a lead balloon, and this particular lead balloon had Big Brother stamped all over it. The initial rationale, of course, was to tackle the small boats crisis. A noble goal, some might say, a pragmatic solution, others might argue, but for many it conjured images of a dystopian future where every aspect of your professional life is meticulously tracked, logged and controlled by the state. Enter Nigel Farage, the man who has never shied away from an opportunity to dissect, to criticise, and occasionally to gloat. Speaking on GB News, Farage did not hold back. He declared with his usual blend of conviction and theatrical flair that the announcement of compulsory digital ID was, I thought, one of Starmer's worst moments yet. And you know, when Farage says something is a worst moment, he has usually got a good reason for it, or at least a highly entertaining way of explaining it. Farage then launched into the promises made by the proponents of this digital ID scheme. Oh, they told us it would stop illegal immigration. They told us it would stop illegal working. They told us it would make our health records even better and more efficient. It is almost as if he is miming a series of infomercial claims, each one delivered with a raised eyebrow and a hint of derision. And you can almost hear the unstated "yeah, right" hanging in the air after each lofty promise. But, as Farage so eloquently pointed out, there was always a counter-argument, a rather loud, persistent counter-argument that refused to be silenced by the siren song of efficiency and control. Of course, the counter-arguments were that it's Big Brother gone mad. The counter-arguments were that all this data would just leak anyway, as nearly all of it does. And let us be honest, who among us hasn't received an email from a company apologising for a data incident that conveniently exposed half our lives to the darker corners of the internet? The fear of a centralised digital ID system, a single point of failure for our most sensitive information, is not some tinfoil hat conspiracy theory. It is a very real, very legitimate concern in an age riddled with cyber breaches.
The thought of banning X from a government that's been attacking free speech and creating a two-tier society in our country, frankly, is appalling. Look, this feature clearly is horrible in every way, distasteful, sick. I get all of that. I know that X today have made some changes to say only paying subscribers can use the service. X will need to go further, but the thought of banning platforms, I mean, what is happening in 21st century Britain?
And then the follow-up, you've supported victims of grooming gangs and sexual-based violence. Will you also take a stand against X, as it is allowing these degrading images on their platform?
Look, I think the whole grooming gangs scandal, and here we are in London where it's yet to be uncovered, in the opinion of Reform UK. Of course, what is happening with this capacity on X is monstrous, but banning X is not the answer. Talking to them and saying we can't live with this, that's the way forward.
Now, this is where the plot thickens and the public opinion pendulum swings with the force of a wrecking ball. Farage highlighted a fascinating aspect of this whole saga, the initial public reaction versus the considered public reaction. It was very interesting because the public, in a snap poll by about 70 to 30% when they heard the initial argument it would stop illegal working, were in favour of it. The power of a quick soundbite. The immediate appeal of a seemingly simple solution to a complex problem. Stop illegal working? Sign me up. But then something magical happened. People started thinking, they started debating, they started, dare I say, scrutinising. Once the country had debated it for a couple of weeks, it kind of went 70 to 30% the other way. And just like that, the tide turned. The initial enthusiasm, fueled by the promise of order and control, was replaced by a deep-seated unease, a British scepticism towards anything that smacks of overreach. It is a testament to the power of public discourse and perhaps a gentle reminder that not all good intentions pave the road to public acceptance. Farage, ever the showman, then delivered a punchline that resonates with a certain truth about modern politics. This government is astonishing. It announces initiative after initiative and gets forced to change its mind. And indeed, it does feel like a recurring theme, does it not? A grand unveiling, a triumphant declaration, followed by a quiet retreat, a watering down or a complete abandonment. It is enough to make you wonder if they are testing the waters or just constantly paddling upstream with a leaky boat. So what exactly is happening with this digital ID scheme now? Well, the latest whispers from the corridors of power suggest that the Prime Minister is reportedly watering down plans so the scheme is voluntary rather than mandatory. Voluntary, not quite the same ring as you will not be able to work in the United Kingdom if you do not have digital ID, is it? It is like being told you must eat your vegetables, only to be offered the option of maybe having a single pea if you feel like it. A significant downgrade from the initial rather draconian proposition.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. We at Reform, a party that is alive and kicking, very much enjoyed your speech on Monday. You seem to be learning a very great deal from us. But could I encourage you, please, to go further as a matter of national security? As a matter of national security. Over the weekend, the legal immigrant from Iran, who we believe came by boat, was arrested in the north of England on serious charges of terrorism. Since the speech on Monday, 1,000 young, undocumented young males have crossed the English Channel. Does the Prime Minister agree? Now is the time to declare the situation in the English Channel as a national security emergency.
It wasn't my speech, it was the Prime Minister's.
Mr. Speaker, the situation is serious. The last government lost control of the borders. We are taking powers. The Borders Bill, precisely to his point, the Borders Bill is the first bill to give terrorism-like powers to law enforcement, precisely so that we can get in before the crimes are committed, before people get to this country. That's right. This is the most far-reaching provision ever for law enforcement to defend and secure our borders. And that's why it is extraordinary that he, of all people, voted against it. And sooner or later he's going to have to explain it.
Amanda Martin.
A government spokesperson, in an attempt to put a brave face on this rather glaring U-turn, stated, "We are committed to mandatory digital right-to-work checks." Notice the subtle shift in emphasis there. Mandatory digital right-to-work checks is not quite the same as mandatory digital ID for all work. It is a distinction that, while seemingly minor, holds a world of difference for civil liberties advocates and privacy campaigners. They continued, adding a dash of reassurance. "We have always been clear that details on the digital ID scheme will be set out following a full public consultation, which will launch shortly." The public consultation. The political equivalent of kicking the can down the road, while simultaneously appearing to be highly democratic and responsive. It is a classic move, allowing a government to gauge the temperature of the nation. before committing fully to a policy that might, shall we say, explode in their faces. And finally, the spokesperson offered up the utopian vision of what these digital IDs would achieve. Digital ID will make everyday life easier for people, ensuring public services are more personal, joined up and effective, while also remaining inclusive. Now, who would not want that? Easier life, personal services, effective governance. It sounds like a dream. The challenge, of course, is convincing a skeptical public that the path to this digital nirvana does not involve sacrificing fundamental freedoms and privacy in the process. The U-turn itself is a fascinating case study in the delicate dance between government ambition and public sentiment. Starmer's initial proposal, delivered with such conviction, clearly misjudged the mood of the nation. The idea of a mandatory digital ID, while perhaps appealing to those seeking efficiency and control, triggered a visceral reaction from a populace wary of state overreach. The petition, garnering nearly 3 million signatures, was not just a ripple, it was a tsunami of public dissent that could not be ignored. This whole episode serves as a powerful reminder that even the most well-intentioned policies can falter if they do not adequately address the very real concerns of the public. It is a lesson in listening, in adapting, and in understanding that while technology offers incredible solutions, it also presents new challenges to privacy and individual liberty. So, as we watch this digital ID saga unfold, we are left with a few lingering questions. How will the voluntary scheme be implemented? Will it truly be inclusive, or will it create a two-tiered system? And will Nigel Farage continue to be the thorn in the side of every politician who dares to dream of a more controlled, digitised future? One thing is for sure, the British political landscape is never dull, and the British Report will be here, dissecting every twist and turn with a healthy dose of wit and a keen eye for the absurd. Thank you for watching.